Is there anybody listening? Is there anyone that sees what's going on? Read between the lines, criticize the words they're selling. Think for yourself and feel the
Good morning and welcome back to the Trailer Park. I am Chanda-Masta, the Trailer Park Pundit, and I have a special guest with me today and my longtime good friend, Craig Pasta Jardula. He's here. We're going to talk about Lahaina on fire, the aftermath. He's been on the ground, boots on the ground, doing the work. How you doing today, doll?
Doing great, Chanda. It's always great to be back on with you. I miss you too as well. I'm sorry I've been so busy, but when you asked me to come on, I was excited to wake up nice and early to come on with Chanda.
I appreciate it.
I'm here for you,
I
girl.
kind of guilt tripped you and twisted your arm a little bit.
No, Kit did the same thing too as well. Hey man, you want to come on? Well, like, come on with Chanda at 10. I can come on at 9, and then I'm smacking myself over the head knowing that I would be doing research, getting ready for the Jimmy Dore show today, and I was, of course, up till 3 in the morning. When you tell yourself you're going to go to sleep at 1, but you start reading and you start seeing some stuff, and it's the next thing you know, it's 3 o'clock, and then you're up till 4 o'clock in the bed. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. That's why I might be looking a little tired under the eyes, but I'm really not tired inside. I'm kind of excited in some ways. Did the sad event, covered Lahaina, but really hit it on the nose and going to get to show that, corroborating some of my stories and some of the things I hit on almost a month ago when I was there are so true, and I'm being talked about today on the island. So it's a lot of stuff that's going on. So yeah.
Well, I brought a couple of short clips from your documentary, Lahaina on Fire, the aftermath. And I know you well enough to know what your thoughts are from being there. That I just watching it. I know where your mind is. I know what you're thinking, but I want to talk about it. And you're having great response to this. And of course, you're doing a marvelous job keep holding down the fort for Jimmy Dore the last, about month now. I'm so proud of you. Every time I log in and see 10K watching, I'm just like killing it, Pasta.
Freaking 9 shows without Jimmy. He needs to get his ass back here. That's all I got to say.
People are starting to bitch. That's for sure. They are. They're like, where's Jimmy?
They want Jimmy, but you know what? Right. For me to be able to slip in there and do this, Chanda, a lot of people who don't do this work, they think it's so easy. Especially when it comes to the Jimmy Dore thing. It's not like I'm just sitting in a chair and reading off a teleprompter. No, I got to produce the stories. Make sure that they're, legit, bring them to the table. I'm speaking under somebody else's name. So when I make a mistake, and I will make mistakes, and I can't promise that I won't make
We're human, Pasta. Yeah.
Well, listen, I can't promise that I won't make mistakes in the future. I can just promise that I'll always try to get better, and I will correct the mistakes I do make. But when you're doing that under somebody's name, you want to be extra careful. So it's been a trip. It's been a hoot. I'm so glad to do this for Jimmy, to keep his channel very relative. Well, he's gone, and it's in the algorithm, because people don't understand, if Jimmy were just to shut it down and go do his stuff on the road and then come back 2 weeks later, the work you have to do
YouTube
to get back
destroys you.
It's terrible. So it would really hurt him. The Rumble numbers are up. We got a video that I did from Maui on Jimmy's show. Jimmy was there for this one. He sat in Steph's seat. It was a less than 12-minute video of me recapping my trip to Maui. And it's got over 325,000 views on Rumble. It's one of his top 15 videos. I'm very proud of that. And I'm very proud of this work that you brought me on to talk about today, Chanda.
Well, Pasta, you always do amazing boots on the ground investigation, because you go out there and you talk to the people. And that's what it's really about. It's not getting MSNBC's perspective or CNN or Fox's perspective. You're out there talking to the people who have been directly affected by this. And you're asking, how do we help? Does that mean sending tourists there? Is that disrespectful? You're asking the right questions. And let me bring the slide deck in. Yes. So this is what it's called, Lahaina on Fire, the aftermath, volume 1. So does that mean we're going to have multiple volumes?
You're going to definitely have 2 volumes. I'm definitely going back. We're set to be towards the end of the first week of November is when we're setting our site, because obviously we got the RFK thing coming up on the 9th. I think that I have to get my butt out there. I've been raising money to do that stuff. So we have to get out there and figure out what's going on over there. So I'm still working out the arrangements with my schedule here in the Jimmy Dore Show and my new channel to figure that out. I mean, Fiorella's in Iran, for crying out loud.
I saw that.
I know she's receiving an award
Crazy.
in Iran, so she's over there, and that's pretty awesome. And our schedules are crazy.
Congratulations.
I have
Pete.
Argentina in a few weeks, right? We have that.
We've been
So
fighting to get to Argentina, but fundraising wise, I don't know if Roy's going to make it.
it's
We
so
just kept taking
frigging
hits all
goddamn
summer.
expensive. It's like
Yes.
$1,000 cheapest. $1,000 is the cheapest air ticket, so we have to make arrangements for that. And in between all that, in and out of the
This
Jimmy Dore.
weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
In and out of the Jimmy Dore Show, and then eventually to Lahaina, hopefully at the end of the first week in November, and then maybe get back and go spend Thanksgiving with my family, hopefully. So it's
Mama Pasta.
the pasta. So yeah, that's the schedule. But we're gonna get back out there. We need to get back out there. Like I said, one of the thesis of the movies, one of the 4 things I've learned in Lahaina, about Maui, and it was the last one. It was not going to be a get you gotcha situation. In other words, nobody's going to show up. You have some journalists say, we're going to get to the bottom of this. And like,
smoking gun. Yeah.
No smoking gun. This is something that has been set in motion for decades. To create the conditions to have Lahaina be a tinderbox so that it would just catch on fire. There's a lot of talk about water diversion, all that situation. Then, we have to also understand that there is no smoking gun, that this is also going to take place over the next several years of trying to pull off, I believe, the ruling class, the elites, managed orchestrated gentrification in which they want that land and they want those people gone. The assistance for living, a program just ended this last Friday. So some people are going to be out in the streets, and meaning out in the streets, where are they going to go? They can't even, the homeless people don't even have a spot to go to anymore because it's been burnt down. So it's a very tender situation. So we have to get back out there and get more information. So much stuff that was happening then that we talked about is happening now, including this downplaying of the death count, which is we have some new breaking information we're going to talk about in the Jimmy Dore
Okay,
Dore
so let's play a few
today.
clips and we'll break all this down. I'm going to keep you as long as I can. So I see the chats are going crazy. Love you guys. Thanks for joining us. Normally I shout out the chats and we have a whole routine on Monday mornings, but we're going to skip all that because your time is valuable and precious and I want your impressions. So here is the first clip I brought of your Lahaina on fire. I love the music choice. Great job. I think this was important to show that the military has it locked down now, right?
Yep. It's almost as if it's like a bomb was dropped. We can't go into the area. You can see down below over there, we got the National Guard or whoever they are, military to your left. They're not allowing anybody in unless you have a house that's standing. Even the people who lost their houses, they told us yesterday, they're not allowed to go into the zone. So they can't have any closure whatsoever. A few things that people reported on right away is that, number one, they feel that number of 150 people dead is a slap in the face. Thousands are missing. And when they say missing, they just haven't been identified yet. More than likely, their fate was sealed in one of those big fires ripping through.
Okay, so I thought that was really important to show how the military has locked that down, Pasta. What were your impressions of, do they have control?
Yeah, I mean, just recently, they've started letting some of the people back into the burn zones. They've kind of like section them off in zones. So there was a lot of people who haven't gone in and seen their place, and you can just imagine if, this house, some of the houses were 200 years old. Like I talked about, this was the
Ugh,
capital of Hawaii before the,
right.
colonization and the Americans came in, and, the empire. So the rich history of Lahaina that's there, and people, that's all they knew. That's their lifestyle. I mean, our job, Chanda, it doesn't really make a difference, right? Like we can be anywhere and do our
It
job.
could be anywhere.
For me, my home is not as important as my work because I'm traveling everywhere and going everywhere. But most of the people there, they live there, and that's all they know. That is their life. And could you imagine leaving to work one day and then trying to come back and you're not even allowed to go to your home or your neighborhood or whatnot? It's just, you have to stay away until they say you can come in, and they're using the military to, guard the place, the other, like, National Guard and whatnot. And I will say this much. A lot of the residents, they're not mad at those soldiers in particular. They're mad at the
Right.
higher ups. They want answers that they haven't been able to get. They're pushing for a lot of answers from everything from why wasn't there any water, why weren't the sirens, signaled, and what's going to happen in their future. They're trying to figure out who their elected officials are tied to, what globalist entities. Josh Green, the governor, was the keynote speaker for
Yeah.
15-minute sustainable cities at the UN less than 2 months before this happened. That is very awfully suspicious because he talked about, maybe Maui being one of those cities. Well, guess what? Now you just wipe out a whole area, you wipe out a lot of people, and you got your starting spot. You can call that conspiracy theory. You can call it conspiracy truth, whatever you want. You make the decision. And that's the beautiful thing about this movie, Chanda, is you don't have to believe Craig Pasta Jardula. I went and got the
Right.
information straight from the horse's mouth, and that's what I'm most proud of.
Yeah, and you make such a great point about the locals not being mad at the military. Those are our sons and daughters. Whether we agree with what the military is doing, those are
Yeah.
still, our families out there. And so retaliating against them. What about the local police? Is there a lot of pushback against the local police? Because, we hear that, the police chief was the one that was in
Yeah.
Vegas, which happens to be the anniversary. It's the anniversary of the Vegas shooting.
Yep.
And
Well, yeah.
is there pushback from the locals against the local police?
Somewhat, but not the police themselves. They feel like they were just following orders, and that's what I learned from a lot of the locals there too as well. They were saying they're not mad. You can armchair quarterback this whole situation, was the
Right.
words David Mello used. David Mello was the owner of the Lahaina Roundtable Pizza just north of where the not, I don't want to say north, but it's kind of like northwest of where the fires took place. He was giving out free food and taking donations
Right.
for people who were affected by this. But he said, most of the people they're mad at the higher ups. They want the police chief over there. They want him. He was on island. That's how the whole
On
the
island.
people
I
speak
get
on
it. My
island,
dad,
right?
was military. He
Yeah.
was on island for a long time.
He said so. He was on island, and a lot of the police were just following orders. They thought that the phone lines that were down from the crazy howling winds were still on and activated, so they weren't letting people out. So they want to know why, who told these people, who gave the order. It was like,
Who gave
remember
the
that
order? Yeah.
who gave the order was the questions like that Game of Thrones, who gave the order? It's like they want the higher ups to answer for what's going on. They're not mad at those individual soldiers. They're not mad at those individual police. I will say this much. There is a lack of the local police that were around that area about 3.5, 4 weeks ago in Lahaina, where those areas are devastated. They do have a lot of other people that seems that they brought from the Big Island, sheriffs and other guards, whatnot, that are kind of
temporary staff.
yeah. They
Didn't they
brought
say
other
that
people in. So.
they had some conference going on the main island, right? Isn't that why,
Yeah.
like, the chief of police wasn't there? There was quite a few of them that weren't at the actual on
Well, the
the
chief was
island.
there on island that day, they say, so they want answers from him, and he's not giving them. But there were people who were on the main island and whatnot, So, like I said, it's been a total breakdown of the elected officials, except for two officials. One being Tulsi Gabbard, who's been able to get on the island, get some mutual aid up almost right away, go on Joe Rogan, get this information out there, and this other House representative named Ellie Cochran, who's the District 14 Lahaina representative. She is set up at a baseball field. That's what you see right in the beginning of the movie. You know what I'm saying? She's there. And I got to give my props to her because we're going to play a video from her today on the Jimmy Dore Show and break some news of what she had talked about. And like I said, one of the biggest things I come out swinging for is the fact that these people feel insulted that this number of death is now moving down. It's moved from 150 to under. I don't know how to do that, but they're saying this is bullshit. And We highlight that in this movie. It's one of the first things in the trailer.
Yes.
It's a slap in the face. They feel thousands of people are lost, and they're downplaying it. Why are you downplaying this tragedy?
Pasta, I couldn't even imagine what it would be like to lose part of my family, my whole entire family, and then to have my own government locally gaslight me and tell me, no, those people are not gone. Yeah, I can't even imagine. So here's the next clip. I tried to grab points that we could talk about. I think the body count in there is one of them. So let's check this out.
I took this photograph and there was no fuel around it. It was just a car sitting in the middle of a driveway that was fried, and then everything else around it was perfectly fine. So it's these type of anomalies that we just have to take a look at very carefully. Bark is in perfect shape, but then when you look at the base, it's burnt out from the inside, and the core of the tree, the center of the tree is all burnt, and we have a lot of different photographs of those also. So we're gathering this type of data right now at this point in time so that we can then look at doing a further analysis. We're not coming to conclusions right now because it's still too early, but we're still gathering data.
So, sorry, hold on a sec. There we go. So, that interview was with an attorney, right?
Yeah,
Is he
he's
an
an
attorney?
activist, an attorney. He's been on the island for quite some time. Paul has done videos with Dr. Malone when Dr. Malone went to the island about the whole COVID situation. So,
Right.
he's one of those guys. I think it's very important to have guys like Paul out there. The thing he hit on the nose is like, we're not coming to conclusions. We're just collecting all the data
Yes.
so we can ask those questions. And it's really important to look at everything from every single angle. What happened? How did this happen? How do we prevent it from happening again?
Yes.
Not only does he talk about all the anomalies that were within the fire that we all saw that are very confusing, but he also talks about the conditions that led up for Lahaina to be a tinderbox. And that's something we need to talk about because there's water
Yes.
diversion going on for quite some time. I had John Leake on my show, John Leake, who co-authored a book with Dr. McCullough about COVID. He's from Maui. He's not from Maui, but he goes to Maui a lot. He's got a brother, I think, that's on the island. He's back in Maui right now. He says those questions and those answers are not cut and dry as well when it comes to water diversion. There are some things to look at. So we have to continue to look at data, question everything. But for me, also, in addition to, what we're talking about right now, I thought it was important. The activist side for me, Chanda, was making sure that we help the people there right now today and get money and get resources right into the hands, real mutual aid to the people, bypassing all those NGOs and those federal government entities that seem to drag their feet, like FEMA, the Red Cross,
And
and whatnot.
pocket all the
You know,
money. Yeah. Well, what have they been given
Oprah,
federally?
The Rock.
$700?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it 700 that they federally been given? And that's only if you owned a house, right?
Yeah. And
If
a
you were
lot of people
renting,
are
I
upset
don't think
about
you got
that.
it.
A lot of the people, $700 per household, you're like, how much money
It's
are
an
you giving to
insult.
Ukraine? I think 5 billion, 6 billion, they said, would rebuild all the houses in Lahaina. And
Which
what are
is
we giving?
nothing.
150 billion to the
Yeah.
Ukraine? Crazy.
So now that they're gathering this data, what does an independent investigation, because we can't just turn this information over to the federal government and have them fix it and admit their mistakes, because that's never going to happen. What independent body has any kind of say to actually, put this out there and go against the government's narrative?
Well, that is the sad part, Shannon. It's part of the reason why I went. I remembered Cynthia McKinney trying to get a third-party investigation in 9/11, trying to get a third-party
What?
investigation in Katrina. But also, too, she highlighted that there are a lot of people out in the streets. And when the mainstream media just packed up and went home, when all these victims of Katrina had no place to go and nobody was telling them stories, bells just went off in my head. And that's why I'm like, I got to get to Lahaina and tell the same story, because it's just disgusting that the mainstream media is packing up and going home. Well, I don't know if we'll ever get a third-party investigation, and they won't let a third-party investigation get in there and take a look at the rubble, the remains, what's going on. I've heard that they've been spraying some of that. Yeah, I've heard they've been spraying some of those chemicals on a lot of the areas that are supposed to stop the detoxicity of the ashes and whatnot. But then it just hides, the truth of what happened there. So this is really, really bad. Jesse Jets here, who did an amazing
I
song.
see Jesse. Hey, Jesse.
People got mad at
in.
Jesse. Somebody attacked me. One of the local news reporters on the island over there on Maui went after me and was pissed off, like, oh, great, another mainlander trying to make money on YouTube clicks off of what happened in Lahaina. And who wrote that song at the end? And a lot of people are like, I'm like, it's Jesse Jet. And like some people are pissed off about that and trying to twist everything, because now the governor is kind of acting like he wants to open up the island. He's acting like he was like that the whole time. When once again, you don't have to believe Craig Pasta Jardula. I went to the people. I asked them. They told me specifically that the governor and his government sent the wrong message by saying that the island was closed. They should have said Lahaina was closed, but the rest of the island is open, because 80% of the money that comes into that comes into Maui comes in via tourism. So whether we like it or not, and I've experienced this before in Florida, Chanda, the hurricane comes and goes, but then rent's due at the end of the month. That shit doesn't change, and that's what people have to understand. And shortly after I started talking about that on the Jimmy Dore Show and started doing that reporting, here comes the New York Times out with a big article showing all the cars and the lots that usually are on the road that are now just parked because the tourism has just been shut down. I mean, there was a reason why my ticket was $200 round trip. There was a reason why the rent-a-car was $40 a day. It's because they're desperate. They need help. And I'm glad we were able to put that Band-Aid on, but that's what we have to continue to do, is fight to help these people of Lahaina stay in Lahaina.
Yes. Okay, so I got another clip. Let's see what it is.
Very quickly, when we first saw the fire about two and a half blocks away, and it was on us, literally in minutes. It just kept gobbling houses, and it was just an angry fire, man. It was just.
How many kids were with you that day?
Well, we have 5 kids, and so at the time, one of our kids was at home with us. We were waiting for 2 more kids to arrive, but there was no cell phone communication at that time from Lahaina to Lahaina. What was very odd is we could call the mainland, and the mainland could call us, but we could not call each other. That's another very strange thing. So I'm going to tell you what happened. The fire got to our house. We evacuated with everybody. I'm going to tell you about how I found my kids. So we evacuated to a home about 2 blocks away. By the time we got there, the fire was there. So we evacuated that house. We went about 1.5 miles away to another home. We were there for about half hour, and I needed to find 2 of my kids, right? And we couldn't call them, but I knew I could call California. And there was other people who also knew that, because when I got there, I said, I need to find my kids. And they said, hey, I can call the mainland, so you might be able to call the mainland. And I said, this sounds weird, but yeah, and I did. I called the grandparents in California, and I said, hey, I can't seem to call my kids, but if you can call them, let them know we're at the beach house. That's how we refer to this house we were at. And while I was on the phone with Grandma and Grandpa, my kids call. So they can call California too. That's the thing. We couldn't call one another though.
But you can call California, and
yeah,
that's crazy.
They're all gone. All my photos of the fire and everything, they're gone.
What happened?
I don't know. You would not believe. Look, here's all the stuff we're doing. Look, here's everything we're doing. Me and 5, 6 other guys started all this.
Yeah.
Over in Hanakauai Park. Yeah. Okay? We started this whole thing. And Kapono, which is an amazing guy.
Yeah.
He is the number 1.
Yeah.
Okay? He's number 1. The rest of us are number 2s. We all fall in line. Everything comes together.
Yeah.
And look at all my photos up until the fire.
Gone.
Look at that. Gone.
I've had something like that happen to me before.
That's weird.
January 6th.
Oh my God.
So, Pasta, you and I both have experienced this firsthand. It first happened to me in 2016 at the DNC National Convention. Every video I had on my phone of the gates being breached, of people being pepper sprayed and batoned, was gone within an hour of me shooting it. And we have been told this, I've been told this whole time, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're crazy. But after a little bit of research, you find out that our government has technology that mirrors a cell phone tower. Your phone connects to it, and they can do whatever they want to your phone. Are you suspecting that same type of technology might have been used here?
I mean, it's awfully suspicious,
Speculation,
and
but right.
you know, I can only speculate. He showed me his phone, and we talked about it. You know, like I said, I've experienced the same thing you have too. January 6th, all my footage is gone. It just disappeared. A
Yep.
big chunk of it is out of there. So, you
Yep.
know, Vault 7, we've talked about all these things before. You know, just go ahead and look this stuff up. You know, they have the ability to go into the back end, remove stuff, listen, spy. So that technology is here and it's being used. So, you know, Alfie talked about that was the guy with the glasses, talked about also the fact that you couldn't call direct person to person in
Yeah.
Lahaina, but yet you can call the
You could
mainland.
call the mainland?
Too many suspicions, and a lot of people said that. A lot of people said the phone lines were down. They were told that this fire had been contained earlier that day. There was no warning on their phones, no sirens. And that was the thing Kelly had already talked about. You know, that same guy, Kelly, which is the Howley with the orange hat. He also tells a story in this movie, and that's why I'm telling people, go watch this movie. There
Go
are
watch this
nuggets in
movie.
there. There are delicious nuggets in there of information that you won't get anywhere else because, you know, I went and did the due diligence and just listened to the people, do what I normally did. And, you know, he talks about like the fact is we're sitting there in our bed and we get a warning. And Tulsi Gabbard would talk about this all the time. Missile coming. This is not a warning. The sirens would go off. It was on their phone. But for this, and he goes, we got nothing.
Nothing.
And it's just suspicious as hell. It's like, wait a second, you know, hold on. So there's a lot of just weird coincidences and too many things that you say, this is just too weird. You know what I'm saying? It, like I said, it feels like an managed orchestrated gentrification. And they want this area. It's obvious to me because they're not giving anybody any transparency on what happened, why things broke down. When I say lack of transparency, there's a lack of wanting to tell the truth. They're hiding, and it's very disgusting.
Well, you know, here in the trailer park, we like to explore conspiracies, and since the moment that we started reporting on this, there is so much that just says it was pre-planned. But for today's show, I didn't want to get deep into any conspiracies. I'll do that on my own time, and I don't want to deter people from watching this because that's not what this is about, absolutely at all. But there's things that we need to talk about and address because like with the missile testing system, we know that the emergency alert system is going to be tested this week, as a matter of fact, but yet they couldn't use it during a major fire, and then with the kids being just let out of school and told to go, they didn't know where they were going. And then you've got the police blocking people into town. In this movie, I didn't bring the clip, but you have interviews with people who say police turned them around and pushed them back into the fire multiple times.
Holy cow! That's one of the things that it's just very, very sad when you think about it. People were told they can't get through; they have to go back, and one of the first interviews, the guy Jonathan, he's yelling at the cops. He's saying, "What are you doing over here?" But I will say this much: like I said, a lot of people are not mad at the locals, the low level entry guys. They're mad at most of the people at top, and that's where they want the answers to come from those people on top. So it's quite interesting.
Well, and we might get a few sacrificial lambs like we did with the emergency alert guy. He resigned and stepped down, the one who officially said, well, fires aren't included on the emergency alert. They clearly
that's
are.
not what it says on the website.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we got one more clip here. I think this might be the last clip, but then I got a few others.
Aware of all of this to begin with, but I'm on it now. But the Native Hawaiians had gotten an opportunity to apply for permits to have priority to get water to their homes, and that happened last year. And the permits were due, the applications, the day before the fire. And that to me was like, whoop, now we're on to something, right?
Wow.
The other thing that was a huge concern was that the governor came out right away and started pushing this narrative that the Native Hawaiians don't want there to be water to fight fires. And it was very, I'm just going to say creepy. I don't like...
When did he say that? What did he say?
Within like a day or two of the fire, he said, I can't give the exact quote, but along the lines of, there is an issue with, the Native Hawaiians not wanting that water to go to fight the fires, and I'll let you, figure out what that's about, kind of a thing. It was very...
Pasta, I saw a
Creepy.
report. Yeah, it is creepy. I saw a report yesterday. It wasn't on the island of Maui. It was on, I think, the main island. But there was a golf course that was owned by the military that's now being rented back to the state, where tens of thousands of gallons of water have been leaking underneath the golf course, and they know it, and they just decided not to do anything about it. I mean, there's so many stories and instances of how the water is being robbed from the people in Hawaii. I mean, we've heard it over and over. It's being taken for the military. It's been taken for the big farmers, the big, corporate owned farmers. And then when they're done, they just leave it dry and it becomes a tinderbox. How was it when you were there? Could you physically see why it was so dry and why it would go up so fast?
Well, yeah. I mean, when you go to West Maui, it's dry. You go to East Maui, right? It's wet. It's green, and that's
Where's
the
the
whole
tourist?
difference
East
with-
Maui?
Yeah. Yeah. West is Lahaina, right? So you go to that part of the island, it's just dry as can be. And from what I had heard is that when the sugarcane industry had left in 1999, 2000, they stopped the irrigation to that location, right around the Lahaina over there. There had been talks that there was some water going to some of the local farmers and stuff, but a lot of people have talked about water diversion for quite some time. The whole thing about that whole situation, and that was a good little clip you brought from Tina Leah, who's one of the activists on the island. She actually does a lot of studies on the mosquitoes, the Bill Gates mosquitoes that they're trying to put out there.
Yes.
What could go wrong, right?
Oh,
Like
my
when you're going to
argument.
freaking bioengineer mosquitoes to try to get rid of the mosquito population over there, they said is out of control and hurting the bird population. And Maui's one of those interesting places because there's a lot of things that are not indigenous to the island that they brought to the island that are now there. The mongoose population was brought, and they brought the mongoose population to try to control the rat population. The only problem is they brought a day mongoose to go after a nighttime rat, and that's been a big, huge problem. So
The
they have
mongoose
situations
sleep.
like that, including the
That's
grass
crazy.
that was by some of the grass in the areas near Lahaina. The grass was indigenous to Africa that they brought in for the cattle back in the days over there. So there's all these situations that kind of led up to what's going on. But what Tina was talking about is that a lot of the locals that applied were applying to get that water to the area that have been complaining that they haven't had water go to that area near Lahaina for years. They were finally getting their request heard and getting the water sent. So those applications were due the day before the fire. But guess what? After the fire, another emergency proclamation. All things are off the table again, and the state's controlling now the water. It's just too many coincidences, Chanda, and it's just awfully suspicious. So that's another thing we have to continue to look into as well. These emergency proclamations, we learned a lot from COVID. They're going to, especially when it comes to elections,
Yes.
the state is going to overreach and take control into their own hands. They're going to make laws without going through the proper procedures, without going through the proper courts. And that's what they did for elections, where it was talked about where, hey, only your state legislation can change these rules, not the Secretary of State or this head of the elections. It doesn't work that way. Well, Lahaina, Maui, it's got a lot of the same things. They want to do an emergency proclamation right now to look at Give, Send, Goes and GoFundMe's to audit them, to shut them down.
Yeah.
So it's like they're going to use the bad players to go after the good players, because we know at the end of the day, when it comes to that money, those distribution centers and whatnot, the state wants to control those. It's because it's a business, right? People got to get their hands in the cookie jar. And there's a lot of
Give me
people
that
controlling
money.
those things. So you can't have the citizens helping out the other citizens. It has to go through the proper channels in their minds. So they're going to do another emergency proclamation. They've floated that idea to shut that down. So that's why I went to that island, to highlight those people who need that help.
So I've been seeing a lot of video coming from what I'm assuming is the Maui City Council, and locals are testifying, and these they're so disrespectful. I mean, when Josh Green showed up, he turned his back on them. He walked out the back door. They're not listening. They're not respectful. It's like, all city council meetings are kind of like this. You get your 2 minutes or 5 minutes, and they have no choice but to hear you out, but they don't care what you're saying. And like you just mentioned, a lot of the emergency funding is running out for these people who've been housed temporarily, who've lost everything. And I brought a clip of a man named Matthew. I'm not sure what his last name is, Matthew Nichols, testifying just 2 days ago at the Maui City Council hearing. And you got to hear what he says. And I know you're going to have a lot to say about it. And this is the last really clip I have for you. I know you're busy with Jimmy today, so I appreciate you coming by.
I have Matthew Nichols next.
So, on our lunch break, we went back to our Hanukkah hotel, and we were told by Red Cross we were being kicked out in 72 hours. Due to Red Cross not knowing what Ohana housing is, they have put people in the wrong things, and so they can't separate them. So we are all listed as a 9-person household instead of 3. They are unwilling to help us. I've been to over 8 hotels and 40 hours sitting there. On Monday, I sat there and watched as a lady cried because her kids can't come back to this side because she's being kicked out. I sat there for 3 hours, freezing, waiting for someone to speak to, waiting for someone to get housing, because after the fire, I lived up until 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had nowhere to go because we chose our animals because they deserve a place to live too.
Yep.
Not all of our animals survived.
Yeah, I was going to play that clip today on Jimmy Dore. I'm still going to play it too as well, but I have some articles that will talk about what's going on. A lot of the housing is ending right now. This Friday, they said, and there's thousands of families out there that are going to be out in the streets. And there's also situations where we have people who are undocumented workers that don't have the proper paperwork. They're going to be thrown out too as well. And I know a lot of people might say, well, they were illegal anyways or whatever, but that's just shitty to say that. You know, these people have no place to go right now, and their assistance is ending, and they're going to be thrown out on their tuchus. And that's why, you know, I knew this day was coming, and I know it's going to be hard. But at the end of the day, like I said, the most important thing is we help the people of Lahaina stay in Lahaina by offering them direct assistance, direct mutual aid. But this is going to be backbreaking right now because there's already a lot of people, Chanda, that left the island. I spoke to people over there, and they're like, hey, you know, my cousin, his house got burnt down. He's not sticking around. He's already in Florida. And that's the stuff that's going to happen. There's going to be slave laborers on the mainland, and that's what they want. And they want those people gone. So this is going to help obtain that goal by whoever's behind it. I mean, can you imagine? People are still facing their trauma. They still don't even have their head together. They lost everything. Some people lost family members, loved ones, their house, their business, the whole 9 yards. And you're going to throw their asses out on the street.
And the thing is he goes on, Pasta, to say, you're locked up for some reason. I'm hoping the internet will kick back in. But he goes on to say that as he was sitting outside of this hotel that they had put him in temporarily, he saw the sprinkler system turn on 12 times in a damn day. And he pretty much tells us that the council that you're not giving the water to the people, you're giving it to the damn tourists. You're giving it to these big conglomerate hotels so that way they can have green grass when the tourists are there.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. And like I said, there's been talk
there we go.
of quite some time of water diversion for quite some time. And, you know, I don't think it's as cut and dry as people think it is. You know, that's why I brought John Leake on to talk about it. But, you know, that's what I'm saying. When that lady in the movie, Tina Leah, she went back and she's learning as much as we can. She's trying to go back and see what's going on. But that's another thing. They don't want to answer on why they had issues that day itself. Why was that water not turned on? They don't know. And they haven't got those answers, and they deserve those answers. And it's a shame that the elected officials are hiding that. Like I said, we have 2 officials out there, whether it be Tulsi Gabbard, who's an ex-congresswoman, doesn't even have a position right now, who showed up on the ground, and Ellie Cochran, a House representative of the Hawaii 14, who set up shop there, and she's facing the fire because she's part of that government too as well. And even though she's willing to tell the truth and speak the truth and get pushback from her I don't want to say cohorts, but her other elected officials, her coworkers, she doesn't care. She's going to speak the truth, Republican, Democrat, and that's what we need. And we need to highlight these answers. This has just begun, this fight, this story, and we can't let up. And that's why I plan on returning to the island in the beginning of November.
Okay, I was going to ask, so my final question is what do you think the most important focus is for independent media who is on the ground, who, you know, is fighting to get answers, and not only that, make people aware of the suffering that the locals are going through? Is it a good idea as a tourist to go there?
Yes, it is. It's definitely a good idea. Go to Hana, go to Paella, stay away from Lahaina. But if you got to go through Lahaina, go grab a couple cases of water and some gasoline and bring it on through and drop it off at the distribution centers. But that's the thing. They're trying to close down those distribution centers, right?
Yes.
and also kicking people out in the street. So, the best thing we can do is just highlight what's going on there. Continue to tell those stories. Find local journalists that are, talking about what's going on and highlight their stories. This is long from over. It's going to be years before they can break around and put up those houses and whatnot. So if we can find a way to help the people stay there until they get back their land, their houses, that's the best thing we can do. But this is a long way from being over. There is no smoking gun. There is no gotcha. This is going to play out over the courts, the city councils, and we just need to continue to highlight what's going on and help the people as best we can. Because, like Jesse Jet says in his story, if you don't pay attention to this fire, a fire will come for you. And it's going to come for all of us. We come together as citizens to protect one another against the ruling class who seems to have, a plan for all of us and wants to put us into certain situations and live the way they want us to live, not the way we want to live,
Exactly. So, Pasta, you're doing a lot of great work. I'm so proud of you. So, we've been working together for so many years now, and it is a blast to watch you and Fee slay it in your individual journeys. And you're hosting Jimmy Dore this afternoon, right?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, I don't want to keep you too long. I know you're very busy. I appreciate you. I don't know why we locked up. You've been locked up for the last 5 minutes, but I'm just so proud of you. I'm hoping that you can get out to the RFK Jr. announcement, because nobody has got to these candidates and asked the hard-hitting questions like Craig Pasta Jardula. I'm so proud of you. You're killing it.
Thank you so much. And if you got a few extra bucks, go watch the movie Lahaina on Fire on that YouTube. And if you think it's worthy of a movie ticket, throw $20 into Give Send Go, Lahaina on Fire. GiveSendGo.com/Lahaina on Fire. If you can help out, if you can't, don't worry about it. Just share it. I'm really proud of this work, even though it's a sad situation. There's a lot of trauma going on, and we're going to continue to pick up the pieces and report to you. Volume 2, look for that to come out in a couple months. Lahaina on Fire. Thank you so much for having me on, Chanda.
Craig Pasta Jardula, you can find him at Yo Pasta on Twitter and his individual YouTube page. And all of the donation links are in the description down below. Let's help him out. Let's support the locals, and let's get Pasta's boots on the ground for upcoming events. Thank you so much for joining me, Pasta. Much love. Be safe in your travels and keep killing it.
Thank you, sweetheart. You have a great one. Send my love to everybody over there at Roar. You guys are fam.
You got it. Okay, guys, let's see if I can get this darn deck to work. I don't know why we locked up so hard. I lost Pasta. I lost my slide deck in the middle of that clip. So I'm going to do a reboot on my deck. We still have lots to talk about. I haven't done a show since last Wednesday. So we're going to talk about RFK Jr. We're going to talk about Cenk Uygur. We're going to talk about Jamal Bowman. And we can't leave the cock Bernie Sanders out. So we're going to get moving. Let's see. We're going to skip a lot of the stuff we normally do on this show. If you're new to this show, I am Chanda-Masta. I am the Trailer Park Pundit. A lot of you are coming in for the first time because of Pasta. Pasta and I have worked together for many years. We used to host a show together called To Hell and Back, where we talked about Big Pharma and just, the things that Big Pharma's been doing, but that was way before COVID. So, okay, let's get started with RFK Jr. So, huge announcement last week. There's a lot of speculation that he's going to announce that he's running as an independent candidate. And we've been saying this all along. We've been saying that as long as he's inside that Democratic Party, he is toxic. They are going to rob you. I have loved watching the interviews with Kim Iverson, with Pasta, telling him straight to his face, you are not going to get anywhere with the Democratic Party. And it seems like when they told him that he couldn't have delegates in certain states, he kind of was like, okay, maybe it's time to jump ship. But there's a lot of people who are still not going to jump on board because you know what's not cool, Bobby? Being a bitch ass Zionist. That's not cool, Bobby. And so I don't know, I walked away from politics a long time ago when it comes to being on the ground as an activist and an organizer. I was a Bernie Sanders delegate, and I fell for it once. I'm not going to fall for it again. So I will be watching his campaign. I'm excited that Pasta will be on the ground because that means you get your questions answered. That, I mean, when you guys are sending me questions and they're pertinent and important, you bet your ass I'm sending them straight to Pasta and saying, ask this, look into this. And that's why independent media and networking is where it's at. That is the only way we get truths anymore. And for whatever we have to say about RFK Jr., we're going to be keeping an eye on it. So I'm super excited that Pasta will be there. So that's not the only presidential announcement we've seen this week. Of course, the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur, announces today he is likely running for president as a Democrat. Likely. Is that his exploratory campaign right there? Is Twitter and saying that he's likely gonna run? Yeah, Jimmy found it freaking hilarious. Vote harder, guys. He's just looking to be relevant. TYT has had his numbers in the toilet ever since Jimmy Dore left and since they went full on shit lib. And they're just Democrats at the end of the day, right? Just Democrats because they were the Justice Democrats. Okay, let's talk about Jamal Bowman. This guy, he really thinks that we're that stupid, doesn't he? He does. So if you haven't heard, of course, they were delaying votes to shut down the government or to keep it back open, depending on what angle you're looking at it from. And a fire alarm got pulled the other day, and clear video shows that it was Jamal Bowman, and he had no choice but to put out a statement. And remember, this guy is a former middle school or high school teacher. So how many times do you run a fire drill when you're in middle school and high school? At least a couple times a year. It's state mandated. He says, I want to personally clear up the confusion surrounding today's event. Today, as I was rushing to make a vote, I came to the door that is usually open for votes, but today would not open. I'm embarrassed to admit that I activated the fire alarm, mistakenly thinking it would open the door. I regret this and sincerely apologize for any confusion that it caused. And there's another paragraph where he goes on lying, saying he didn't know. But, of course, his friends like Rokana, Ro the Ho, he came out and said, Jamal Bowman, New York, is a person of deep integrity and conviction. His willingness to tell the full truth here and show humility is what we need more of in our public dialogue. He has my complete support and continued respect. What do you guys think? What do you think? Was it a oops? Was it this lever might open the door? No, it wasn't. He knew damn well. I mean, look at it. It clearly says fire alarm, pull down. We've all seen these since the day we went to freaking kindergarten, right? Every major big building we've ever been in, you have to be 5 years old to not understand what a fire alarm looks like. And I think his humility and pretending to be embarrassed by it is his cover, and we all know that. And then when you got the likes of Ro the Lying Ho backing him up, there you go. It says vote alarm. He was like, I was ready to vote. I was so sad I couldn't vote. Yeah, it's completely a joke. How is the chats doing? I didn't get a chance to shout you out later, but there's a lot of new faces in here. I hope you hit the like button and follow and stick around. We have fun here in the trailer park. It's a trailer park, man. We ain't got no rules. No rules here. And that is why Comrade Misty is Putin's buddy. Misty Winston is allowed to say, go fuck yourself, warmonger, to Bernie Sanders when he says, I look forward to seeing the Congress provide in the very near future financial support for Ukraine, which is valiantly struggling against Russia's aggression. So there you are. I spent almost 8 years traveling the country from coast to coast as an anti-war Democrat, only to have the likes of Bernie Sanders get behind war and ask for more money. It's disgusting. It makes me ashamed of myself for not seeing who he was. If you guys know me, you know I'm a human lie detector. Like, I look through people. That is my gift. That is my, given talent on this planet. and I never saw it. I started seeing it in 2020. I bailed on Bernie in 2020 when he endorsed Joe Biden. That's when there's a video you can go see on my YouTube where I take all my Bernie gear outside and I rip it up. I throw it in the garbage. I don't burn it, but I'd finally seen enough to believe that Bernie had been at the least co-opted. But now at this point, shit, he's the head shill. He's the head one out there, getting it out there. And I love that I didn't bring this, but I am a human lie detector. I saw the video of RFK Jr. over on Theo Vaughn's podcast. And he tells the story about how Bernie Sanders was robbed by the DNC and that's why he sued them. I'm like, what? He never sued anybody. Bernie never even goddamn admitted that the Democrats were ripping him off. Two times. He let his people be abused by the Democratic Party. Oh, you want to talk about it? Let's talk about April 14th, 2016, Nevada's primary, when, they accused us of being violent and throwing chairs when they came in, brought the police and cleared a public primary for the state of Nevada. I mean, but did Bernie say anything? No, he scolded us. He told us to calm down and to be respectful of the process. I mean, and there's just so many instances of Bernie throwing his own base under the bus during 2016, yet we kept going. Why? Because we want change. We need change. We crave change. We're trying to find change, and we're willing to jump on any vessel that is saying they're going that way, right? And this is why I'm worried about jumping on RFK Jr.'s campaign so early. We'll see what's going on. There's still a lot of time left, but I gotta agree with Comrade Misty. Go fuck yourself, warmonger. I never in a million years would have supported Bernie Sanders if I thought that he would in any way support war. I don't care who is seemingly right on an issue of war. The Russians, the Americans, the Ukrainians. Fucking people are dying. Young children are dying. Homes are being destroyed. Lives are being destroyed. There is no right side of war. I don't care what you say. The victors write history. So they will always tell you that the victor was right. Look at World War II, right? The Nazis, but who are we hanging out with and defending? The Nazis. And, it just makes me sad because is Seth Rich up there in heaven going, I gave my life for this coward? Because he did. He did. We all know that Seth Rich was the leaker. The WikiLeaks was not a hack. It was a leak. So this is Seth Rich, the DNC staffer who leaked emails to WikiLeaks before being shot in the head on December 11th, July 10th, 2016. And it just makes me sad. Man gave his life for Bernie, and here we are, the cowardly little lion. But and why did Bernie do that? Why did Bernie refuse to stand up against the Democratic Party, to call them out, to run independent like we begged him to do, to even contest the 2016 election, primary? He could have pulled a bunch of shit in that convention. That's the whole reason we were there. I trekked across the country with 27 other crazy ass strangers to be there in case he needed us to support him if he contested that convention. We were going to a contested convention, and that is not what happened. He rolled over and gave all of his delegates to Hillary. Why? Why, you ask? Because he didn't want to be Ralph Nader. And Throne of Blood nails it. Funny how Bernie Sanders says he didn't want to fight the Democrats because he didn't want to end up like Ralph Nader. Now Nader ending up exactly like Bernie Sanders, a complete flaccid Democrat bootlicker. And yeah, I got to tell you guys, kill your idols, man. Kill your idols. Very sad to see these, we saw this with Chomsky, to a degree. We've seen it with Chris Hedges. We look up to these guys because they're dropping truths, but then when it comes to an important issue, they always side with the moderates. And why? Because they don't want to be cast out of this. They don't want to be thrown out of the game. And yeah, it's just gross. So if you know anybody who wants a couple of autographed Nader books, I got him. I'm going to start giving them away as prizes. Ralph Nader doesn't want to be Ralph Nader. So sad. Yes, for sure. And yeah, Mel Gibson thinks that's hilarious. He always does. So to finish up this segment, this is what Bernie says. Let us wage a moral and political war against war itself so that we can cut military spending and use that money for human needs. Now, this was April 29th, 2012. Was that a different Bernie? Because he seems pretty anti-war in this tweet, but he's definitely not anti-war anymore. And anytime, you guys know, I leave Seth Rich on my deck as much as I can. And Julian Assange is always on my deck because those are true unsung heroes, not these fucking politicians that are buying lake houses and going on book tours and doing literally nothing for us. Name one thing that Bernie has done for us in years. In years. Oh, got the cost of insulin down because he talked Joe into it. I don't even think that's a done deal. And I've yet to see insulin be $30 where I live, and I know I'm with the diabetics. So it's all just lies, smoke, and mirrors, and surviving to live another day. Okay, I gotta tell you, I gotta warn you guys, viewer discretion. This clip is gonna piss you off like it did me. Now, this is from Turncoat Don. If you're not following Turncoat Don, he makes me laugh on a daily basis, so make sure you are. But this is a Billy Maher clip, and this is Mary Catherine Ham, who is a CNN or was a CNN, I don't know, she was a commentator or whatever they call them over there. I don't watch CNN, only to find you cream of bullshit every Saturday. And yeah, let's watch the clip and then I'll read you some of the tweets.
The original sin where you talk about law enforcement problems and Republican attitudes toward law enforcement, particularly as the FBI on this stuff, the original sin from both media and the intelligence agencies and federal law enforcement is the Russiagate stuff. And the reason that so many in the party, and I'm here as the translator because I'm not one of them, but so many in the party accept so much of Donald Trump's behavior is because the Russia stuff was a lie and nobody paid for it.
No, it wasn't.
Well, it wasn't all a lie.
Yes, it's not all a lie. You guys have been are you going to do Steele dossier on me?
No.
Well,
some of the Steele dossier was true. Okay,
this did Mueller report for 3 years.
Yes, and Mueller never said he was innocent.
And the whole time, I'm like, guys, I don't think he's a Russian plant. And everyone on CNN set is looking at me like I'm crazy. And at the end, we get to not much there, which was the case.
There was quite a bit there.
There was a lot there.
There was a lot there. Yeah. There was collusion we never had before.
That was all paid for by Hillary Clinton.
That a president would do that. He just did it in public because he's insane.
You do know that. No, I think one of the advantages
of being insane.
And most of it, probably none of it was illegal, right? So I mean, this was always David Frum's line. Everything he's doing is in plain view, and it's not illegal. He's just violating every political norm we have.
Except there were things that were illegal, like using the FISA court to spy on American citizens in ways that they should not have done. That was legal, but that wasn't him.
That's right.
And the fact that the Hillary Clinton campaign was partially responsible for funding this dossier, which partially came from, wait for it, Russian disinformation. It was, and then it started this cycle of media circle jerk, and then we had 4 years of that.
I think it was his own election authority guy who said something like, I can't believe I have to explain this, but it is illegal to accept anything of value in an election from a foreign national. He accepted things of value. His
like
campaign
Uranium
manager
One?
was trading campaign information with a GRU agent. That's not collusion with Russia? What about the meeting with Don Jr.? I have dirt
having Paul Manafort run your campaign.
I don't Paul Manafort has been did illegal things, right?
It's just like Paul Manafort is like a 200-pound gold bar in the closet. I mean, the transgression, the unseemliness of it is right on the surface, given his contacts with Russia.
So I'm
it's not exactly everything they said it was, but it's not nothing.
The standard of evidence used for the Russia thing for 3-4 years versus the standard of evidence used now in media for Biden and Hunter Biden's shenanigans and fairly obvious influence peddling is worlds apart. Worlds apart. Yeah. And I would just like to, and voters deserve fairness in how these two people are treated. They do not get it, and they sometimes don't get it from law enforcement.
Oh,
okay.
And that's bad.
Yes, I mean, there's a lot to untangle here, but I'll completely grant you that if Hunter Biden had been Don Jr., if it had been Don Jr.'s laptop, everything would change in terms of the reception, and that seems like an unfair asymmetry. But the background reality is, we have never had a person like Trump in our politics, certainly not in the lifetime of anyone in this studio, and he has shattered every norm. I mean, we didn't even know how much we relied on norms. I mean, we're a nation of laws, but more important than the laws are the norms, like committing to a peaceful transfer of power when you're a president. I mean, that was the most shocking violation of normal democratic principles. I think in our history.
I agree with you about the norms. And here's the problem: a bunch of people, including in the justice system, looked at Trump and said, he's going to bust all the norms. And you know what we need to do? Bust all the norms to stop him. Yeah. And that is a very, very unhealthy decision.
It's unhealthy, I'll grant you that. But
got to stop. Thank you. Welcome back. Time for New Rules.
Oh my gosh, way to get you fired up on a Sunday morning. I was just minding my own business and I saw that clip. And yeah, go Catherine. She got some truth sprinkled in there. One of us would have pushed back a hell of a lot harder, but that's why we're not allowed on a show like that. I love Oz the Boomer. If you're not, if you're new here, be sure to follow Beauty and the Boomer on YouTube. We do a kind of comedy type satire show every Saturday night called Beauty and the Boomer. And this is from Oz the Boomer. He says, Mars getting sued by Trump has no bearing on these opinions, right? Oh, wait. Yeah, they have opinions. And this is the problem that you run into every time you try to have a truthful conversation with any of these shit-lib moderate Dems. I mean, even in my own life, people I have been friends with for 35 years, they buy into this hook, line, and sinker. They still believe the P-tape. Oh my gosh. But they don't want to talk about Burisma or Uranium One or all the other times that politicians were doing shady shit with other countries. I mean, it's been going on forever, but let's just pick out the few times for Trump. Of course, Trump is in New York today. I didn't really cover it, but he is in New York today for his civil case where they say he lied about his net worth and the net worth of a lot of his properties. And of course, this attorney, the prosecuting attorney there, she is hell-bent that she is going to get Trump. She made no qualms about it. Like, that is my job. I'm going to find a way to take him down. And we'll see just exactly how they can grease the wheels of justice and, put a hurting on Trump. And we all know that this is a political attack. If Trump wasn't running for president again, this would have all just been hush hush because they all do it. They all lie about how much something is worth so they can get a bigger loan, because what is the one thing the elites don't do? The predator class. They don't spend their own money. They get loans, they get investors, they get donations, but they don't spend their own damn money. So, did Trump break the law? We've always said he's crooked. I mean, is there any question? But they all do. They all do. And I've got one more clip for you. I just brought this because I like the meme on the side. Oz did an amazing job of illustrating the meme. So let's check it out. Bill and Hillary, back when they were just cousins. Oh yeah, who remembers those days?
A new interview with Mrs. Clinton is gaining substantial attention on social media due to her warning about Russian collusion in the upcoming 2024 election to elect Donald Trump. Again? Didn't she say that in 2016? Then we found out she actually paid for the fake dossier? Guys, you want me to lie to the people who watch this? Let me be clear. Mrs. Clinton is absolutely correct. There is going to be a Russian collusion in the 2024 election in order to get Donald Trump elected. Thank you.
And that's how it goes for pretty much anybody in the mainstream media. You're not allowed to talk bad about the Democrats and their golden girl, Hillary Clinton, right? So we all know that one of Hillary Clinton's campaign managers is now over steering the ship for Cornell West, but there's a lot of talk about the kind of money that's being spent and these fundraisers where, it's $1,000 a plate to come in an independent grassroots candidate. That's not the way it goes. And you guys know I just love this picture of Cornell. It cracks me up. So I leave it on my deck. But some information is coming out about Peter Dow and the money that he was making when he was over running Marianne Williamson's campaign. And as you can see, this is from this year. Oh, one of those was right on my birthday. I would have liked a check for $2,695 on my birthday. Now, are these huge amounts? Well, the $5,000 one is $5,281 on 5/12. But this is the type of money he made in 1 month. 1 month. So it goes from 427 to 530. So what do we got? We'll round down. Let's round down. So 2,000, 3,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, 14,000. He's made $15,000 in 1 month running Marianne Williamson's book tour. Because let's face it, that's all this shit is. It's a book tour. Get out there, stay relevant, get that money coming in by telling people that you're grassroots. When I was a Bernie delegate in 2016 and on the ground traveling, we once decided to do a nonpartisan voter outreach at our local community college, Peninsula College. We didn't tell anybody about it. We got permission from the college. We just set up a little table out front of the steps where the kids come in and out to the campus. And we were there about 5 minutes when a whole flock of women that we have never seen, and we're a small community and we are inside the Democratic headquarters. We know the local Dems. This group called Hillary for America showed up. They were so violent. They were ripping our table apart, ripping our signs off, knocking our chairs over, stepping into us, and back then, we were very naive and thinking, we're all Democrats. We're doing voter outreach. What do you care? We're not telling people to vote for Bernie Sanders. We're telling people to vote. But they were orchestrated and ran by the likes of Peter Dell, Hillary for America, all of these campaign groups that were out there. And we kept saying, there's no way that this is orchestrated. How did these women know we were here? Who sent them? And we saw that over and over and over out on the campaign trail in 2016, how we would be attacked by these Hillary groups that were, and we saw it online. I was a mod of many of the big Bernie groups before they were attacked. Remember when they attacked us and they put CP in our groups? They did some really, really nasty shit. And that was all it was all led by the likes of Peter Dell and David Brock, right? David Brock's right up there too. So do I expect them to pull shady shit for Cornell? Of course. I don't expect anything less. Okay, well, we got some news. You guys know another one bit the dust this week. Of course, that is Dianne Feinstein. But she managed to vote the day before she passed. Did you know that? She was marked as a yes vote on the Securing Growth and Robust Leadership in American Aviation Act. What does that mean? She voted to have your eyes and hands scanned when you go to the airport. But she managed to do that before she passed, right? Because she wasn't that out of it. And the memes are off the hook. Oh, come on, Kissinger. Oh, Dianne Feinstein. So, by the way, Dianne Feinstein resigned by dying today, because that's how they go out now. They don't actually resign. You just wait till they die. Jesus. Yeah, I assume she's seeing him right now. I don't assume she's seeing Jesus. Just telling you. I don't. But there's a lot of great memes out there right now if you're over on Xverse. Showing just her obscene wealth. she had houses in Lake Tahoe, and it's so gross what she had. I think she had one in Denver. I heard she had one in Maui. She has a private jet. So now who's having to deal with all of this? Is it Christine Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi's daughter? Because she was her handler. Right? She was the one that was wheeling around the Congress and Senate just the last couple of weeks. So there's been a lot of speculation of who Gavin Newsom is going to appoint to that seat. And yesterday, the internets was on fire because Meghan Markle wants to be a senator, and her name was being kicked around a lot for consideration. Now, of course, it'll be a temporary appointee, right? They'll only appoint them for, I think she had 16 months, 18 months left in her term. And oh my God, I could see Meghan Markle absolutely wanting to get into politics, wanting to have that power. Of course, she's smeared daily by the media. Whether you like her or whether you don't, she doesn't have any job experience, and she's not loved by the people like she thinks she is. These people live in these gated community fucking bubbles with each other, and they all tell each other, "You're great and I love you." Oprah, the Obamas, Bruce Springsteen, the Hankses, right? They're all just one big close-knit family, and they're not in reality or in touch with the actual working class or poor of this country. But hey, I would make a great senator. So as of this morning, news is breaking that Gavin Newsom will appoint, what is this, Lapanza Butler to fill Diane's seat. I don't know anything about this woman. It broke right as I was going live, so I thought I'd throw it on here. And she is the president of Emily's List. That's all I know about her, right? And Emily's List is more of that cliquey, gated community bullshit. Working class people don't go on Emily's List. I promise you, we don't. That's for people that are making a good amount of money. We'll see. Yeah, is it a scam? I don't know. We'll follow up on Wednesday when I get a chance to actually look into it. Yeah, I'll get a chance to look into it, and we'll do a report Wednesday on who she is and just why did the establishment want her. So there you are. Did you guys happen to see the State Department telling the truth? This is just insane. I know it's been played on a couple of other channels. And the thing about the trailer park, guys, is we have a lot of viewers that aren't on Twitter, that are not on the platforms. They come here. So even because you guys have seen it multiple times on X, I bring it because I have viewers who don't see it, and they send me messages and they thank me so much. So check this out. It's revolting. So welcome to the State Department. Good to see you're in the exercise of transparency and democracy. So this is just crazy.
Anyway, welcome to the State Department. I think we have some interns in the back. Welcome. Good to see you in this exercise in transparency and democracy.
Is that what it is?
Sorry,
I
didn't mean to break.
I thought it was an exercise in spin and obfuscation.
Yes.
All right. Can you tell this is my last briefing before vacation? Anyway.
Having a good old time at the State Department. He might have been still partying from the night before when they rolled out Hillary's new portrait. You guys saw that last week, her State Department portrait. Yeah, he said the quiet part out loud. We know that the State Department is the furthest thing from transparent or democracy. And more than once, this spokesman, I forget his name now, has told the truth like that. And of course, you heard the voice of one of the journalists that actually pushes back on the State Department. So there you are. The quiet part out loud. Let's talk about Ukraine. There's lots to talk about with Ukraine. So we're going to start out with a new law on military registration of all women. All women for military service has come into force in Ukraine. The obligation applies to all Ukrainian women ages 18 to 60. 18 to 60. I'm 50. No way would I want to go out and be fighting in a war. In most cases, girls liable for military service turns out to be physicians with qualifications as doctors, dentists, OB-GYNs, let's see, nurses, pharmacists, phlebotomists. Yeah, they need the women. Even if they're saying it's just to be a doctor or dentist, we know that it's called the meat grinder for a reason, and they're running a little low on men 18 to 60, and this is just insane. How would you feel about getting called up at your age to go to war? Yeah, I might be. Where do you run to? Right during the Vietnam War, you ran to Canada to escape being drafted. Look. Or you have bone spurs like Trump, but you do something. Wasn't it Bush? Bush ran to Canada, or was it Clinton? Which one ran to Canada? Come on, tell me. One of them did. This is just completely insane and shows you where they are actually at with this war. They're having to rely on forcing women to get out there. This is comedian. Yeah, no. I came across this meme. We do a lot of memes here at the trailer park. Quote from a Hungarian Jew from the documentary The Last Day. People wonder, how is it that we didn't do something? We didn't run away. We didn't hide. Well, things didn't happen at once. Things happened very slowly. So each time a new law came out or a new restriction, we said, well, just another thing. It'll blow over. When we had to wear the yellow stars to be outside, we started to worry. Anyone see the parallels? I do. I see the parallels. You know what? I keep saying it. We keep bringing it up. It's the frog in boiling water, right? You turn the heat up slowly. The frog doesn't realize that he's being boiled alive. Therefore, he never jumps out of the pot. And that's how they do it. They implement and they roll this out so slowly on us that we just keep going along because, hey, it'll blow over, right? Well, the Ukrainian war is not going to blow over. And, we saw the Democrats fighting the Republicans because the Republicans fearlessly stepped up and said, no more money for Ukraine, or we're not going to fund the government, right? So I saw a lot of people out there last week praising the Republicans. Oh, look at the Republicans are anti-war. And I had to keep saying, people, come on. They all have the same donors. BlackRock, Raytheon, Boeing, Honeywell. Come on. They want war just as much as the Democrats. We have a uniparty in this country and they both love war. So yesterday's Face the Nation, our favorite Southern belle, stopped by, Lindsey Graham.
Have you asked Donald Trump, your friend, to come out and publicly support more aid to Ukraine and to push some of these skeptical members of the Republican conference?
I'll leave it up to him to what to do, but he wanted to get out of Afghanistan.
Well, Vladimir Putin has been praising him for his comments about Russia and Ukraine.
Here's what I'll say about President Trump. He did not pull the plug on Afghanistan, even though he wanted to. The biggest mistake we made since the war on terror is withdrawing from Afghanistan. To President Trump and anybody else, if we pull the plug on Ukraine, that's 10 times worse than Afghanistan. There goes Taiwan. To stop funding Ukraine is a death sentence for Taiwan. Putin will keep going. You missed all of World War II if you don't know how this movie ends. To the Republicans who say Ukraine doesn't matter to us, you're wrong. Respectfully, you're wrong. The war gets bigger, not smaller. There goes Taiwan. If Ukraine can beat Russia, China's less likely to invade Taiwan, and Putin gets stopped.
Okay, so here we are again. There's so many parallels, we have to be in Afghanistan because of 9/11 and Iraq. I mean, they always just slowly inch us there, right? And his whole argument is if we don't support Ukraine, then Taiwan will fall and China will beat us. And it's such a crazy narrative that they push out there. One minute they're against it, the next minute they're hand in hand with China, because you will hear the Republicans saying, we need this, we need that from China. And not my flag, not my war. I totally agree with that. Not my flag, not my war. I don't know if I subscribe to any flags anymore in my life. I definitely was raised that way. We all were. Hand over your heart. You got to say the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. Pledge yourself to this country. And they want to bring that back. So I had to bring you this example of some totally disgusting shit livery that was going on this week. Did you see this? Oh my gosh. Emma Vigeland hanging out with Vash, and Ro the Hokana, and Two Dissidents nailed it right on the head. Me trying to watch the Vosh, Emma, Destiny, and Ryan Grimm roundtable. Yeah, your soul's being sucked out of your eyes. That's really what it's about, right? I didn't know Ryan Grimm was in on that, but I'm not shocked because we've been calling Ryan Grimm out for a long effing time. So Kamala Harris has the U.S. has an alliance with North Korea. Did you know this? We have an alliance with North Korea. And if we do, I thought Trump was the one that set that up, not Harris. Let's check it out. So on September 29, 2022, Harris at a speech outside said, the United States shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea. Let's check it out. Did she actually say that?
So the United States shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea. And it is an alliance that is strong and enduring.
It's strong and it is enduring. Just one of those times that Harris has misspoken, right? She constantly is misspeaking. But I brought this clip because we want to talk about, are they going to tap Harris to lead the party? Is she going to be the nominee, right? We all know it cannot be Biden. It can't be Biden. He can barely hold on from day to day to day. We know that the Democrats can't lock him down for another 4 years. So the likely choice would be his vice president, right? That's what she's there for, to protect him and step up when she needs to. Well, it doesn't seem like the Democratic Party has a lot of faith in Harris, and they're going to sidestep her for the nomination. And who do we think, and who have we been saying we think is going to get tapped for the nominee? Well, that would be Gavin Newsom, right? Anybody remember Harris telling Joe during the debate, you will do whatever the Chinese tell you. They gave your son over $1 billion. Funny how she knew during the debates that he was crooked, but then when he called, she was like, we did it, Joe. We did it. I don't care how much money your family takes from Ukraine or from China. Did you guys see this yesterday or a couple days ago? The border crisis is beyond. And you guys know I've actually gone down to the border. I've done some reporting down there. And just in, Costa Rica is declaring a state of emergency amid surges of migrants crossing the country. That was Reuters. And the WEF, the World Economic Forum, if you don't know who that is, was caught orchestrating U.S. border crisis from a military base in Panama. What? Oh, and this says it's actually fact-checked. Look, it's got the fact-check seal of approval on it. Are you shocked? No, I'm not shocked. When you know the amount of migrants that are coming across the border nowadays, it's definitely orchestrated. This isn't just random people in a small village saying it's time to go find a job in the U.S. That's not what's happening here. And you guys know I do not advocate for closing our border down. I've never supported a closed border. We are the United States. Send us your huddled masses yearning to be free. But that is not what's going on here. That is not. And the Biden administration has done a complete 180 from what Trump was doing. Trump was terrible on the border too. AOC had to go down there and cry about it. She ain't crying about it now. And the amount of migrants coming across, 260,000 last month alone. That is not sustainable for our country. I don't care. I'm not saying that we should not let migrants into the country. I'm saying we should be doing it in a reasonable, orderly fucking manner. And that is not what's happening. We already have a housing crisis in our country. We already have an unemployment jobs crisis in our country. And this is just going to make it 10 times worse. And I'm not saying that, they shouldn't be allowed to come here. They should be, but they need to have a clear path. Having them come in and giving them a court date for 7 years from now, that's not going to work. It's not working. And I think we need to temporarily shut the border down, guys. I do. And I would never say that. But right now, it's completely overran. It's completely, you go and you watch and listen to the interviews. And I'm not saying go watch Elon Musk's bullshit that he pulled this week. That was just him trying to make himself relevant. But you go talk to or listen to what Border Patrol is saying and what these local sheriffs are saying, even 200, 300, 400 miles away from the border. They're inundated. They could barely keep up with, they had a lack of resources before. They seriously have a lack of resources. Now, I don't know what the answer is at the border, but it can't continue the way that it is. And it breaks my heart. I've been to the prison where they house women coming across the border when they were taking the children from them. I've been out there. It is a fucking prison. It's just like if you got arrested and sentenced to 5 years in prison. It is a concrete prison with barbed wire and razor wire. So this is how we're treating the migrants that are coming across. It's disgusting, and I don't know what the answer is. I wish I knew. I did. Let's see. This is Professor Zenka says San Francisco mayor wants drug testing for welfare recipients. Aw, isn't that good? About a dozen states, mostly deep red, require drug testing for welfare recipients. So Democrats are amping up their war on the poor to lead up to the 2024 election. And that's exactly it. Can you imagine a Democrat saying that? We got to drug test all the welfare people. This is just insane. San Francisco's got so many problems. If you remember that press conference, I brought that press conference to you back in May. It was absolutely revolting. Let's drug test them. Yeah, let's drug test Zelensky. Zelensky, you want more money? You're going to need a drug test before we can send you another $1 billion. That's the reality of what it should be, but it's not. Bono says Trump supporters are tearing apart America's democracy. And that's fact check too. He wants to be relevant too. Oh my God, he is a part of that gated community clique that I was just talking about. You can name them. You know who they are. They love to vacation together. I've always hated you too. Also, thank you. I'm not alone. Even in the 80s, I was just like, I don't get it. The Streets Have No Name. That was an okay song, but everything after that, I was just like, look at these posers, because that's what I see them as. Let us wage a moral and political war against the billionaires and corrupt leaders on Wall Street and elsewhere whose policies and greed are destroying the middle class of America. Yeah, Bernie Sanders said that. I don't even know if there is a middle class any longer. Let's see. Reverend Al Sharpton had to get in on the ageism and say, I don't hear concerns over Bernie Sanders' age when he ran. Well, Al, I don't know where you are, but we were constantly told that Bernie Sanders was too old to run. So nice try. You're full of shit. This ageism is brought to you by Trump. And he's only 3 years younger than Biden. Stop being gaslit, America. Vote for Biden if you want to keep our democracy. These people that say democracy is on the ballot are so full of shit. You obviously don't get we're a constitutional republic, but democracy is just a fancy little word they like to put out there to gaslight you, to dog whistle you. And that's exactly what it is a dog whistle. But for Al Sharpton to say that is so wrong, because on the ground, as a Bernie delegate, constantly we came up against ageism trying to defend Bernie Sanders back then, right? Was Bernie the oldest in the race in 2016? I think he was close to it. I think he was. So here's the golden boy of the Democrats. Gavin Newsom vetoes bill that would allow striking workers to get an unemployment check. Huh? I thought he was a Democrat. I thought they like to help the workers out, the union people. They're on strike. Why can't we give them some money so that way they could hold fast a little longer for this strike? No, because it's all one big uniparty, and he's exhausted. He is exhausted by those of us who won't get the Pfizer. If you know what I mean. This is a little bit of an older clip, but I just got to say, if he's that exhausted, maybe he shouldn't run for president.
But we are exhausted, respectfully, exhausted by the ideological prison that too many Americans are living under. We're exhausted by the Ron Johnsons and the Tucker Carlsons. We're exhausted by the Marjorie Taylor Greens. We're exhausted by the right-wing echo chamber that has been perpetuating misinformation around the vaccine and its efficacy and safety. We're exhausted by the politicalization of this pandemic, and that includes mask wearing that has been equated to the Holocaust. It's disgraceful, it's unconstitutional, it's unconscionable, and it needs to be called out. Increasingly, it is being called out, and I want to acknowledge that. And I want to applaud particularly Republican leaders that have had the courage to call that out. And I hope more and more will do the same. It's choice to live with this virus. And with all due respect, you don't have a choice to go out and drink and drive and put everybody else's lives at risk.
Not the same.
That's the equivalent of this moment with the deadliness and efficiency of the Delta virus. You're putting other people's, innocent people's lives at risk. You're putting businesses at risk. You're putting at risk the ability to educate our kids by getting them back in person full time for in-person instruction. No more Zoom schools. We want to keep our economy moving.
That's not what you did, though.
Small businesses on their feet. Your choice not to get vaccinated and to listen to these pundits that are profiteering off misinformation, intentionally misinforming you, comes at a real societal cost.
I don't want to listen to that whole, it's like 5 minutes of him, casting out those who chose to have bodily autonomy back in the day. Of course, that was an older clip, but just an example of who the Democrats want to be commander in chief over our sovereignty, over our country, over our personal autonomy. And, we got to fight back. I think I've spent more time campaigning against candidates in the last 8 years than I actually have campaigning for, because I think it's so important for people to actually see what these politicians are about. And Gavin Newsom is the worst. If him and Trudeau somehow had a DNA mixture of a baby, that would be the Antichrist. I'm not even kidding. They mirror each other to a damn T. And, but when you talk to everyday people who are not into politics, like some of us are, they don't see it. They just see a Rico Suave, clean cut. Oh, but he's good looking. That suburbia mom really loves Gavin Newsom, and the Democratic Party knows it. That's why they had him do the rebuttal at for the Republican debate last week. How disgusting was that? I don't know if any of you watched it, but I was barfing the whole way. I agree. So get out there, campaign against him. We've got a lot of catching up to do. I didn't do a show since Wednesday, so it's been almost, it's been 5 days since we've done a show, but I want to talk about what happened in New York this weekend. You guys see New York flooded? At first, I thought I was seeing clips from The Day After Tomorrow. You remember that movie where they flooded and then it flash froze? We laugh, but this is the reality of it.
Gerben, deze is af van Bas. Glaag maar mooisjes af. Dus kijk dan deze. Kijk dan deze. Wauw, Bos ga je ervoor. Wauw. Dit is Steve Hoogert. Dit is Nishak. Dit is... What? Ai, 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 ai. Ai, 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 ai.
That is so insane. That was just one clip. There was hundreds out there. I can't even imagine. But all I kept thinking is they want to put us in these 15-minute cities, and they can't even protect the 15-minute cities from this, right? Geoengineering. Yes, if you follow Trailer Park Pundit, we are always calling out geoengineering here. Can I tell you guys, yesterday I was forced to go to Walmart. Oh my gosh. The first is payday for the trailer park. And so I went and I got all my radiated poison appeal food. And as I was walking out, where I live on the Pacific coast, we are like the first line. The jet stream moves across the country. So they hit us really, really hard. And I walked out of Walmart to see the biggest chemtrail I've ever seen in my life, just right over the top of us. And wouldn't you know it, we went from a beautiful, sunny, blue sky day to crappy gray. And now it's supposed to rain all day. It makes me wonder. I always often wonder, what would our regular weather actually be like if these assholes weren't up there manipulating it on a daily basis? And it don't matter where you're at in the country. You got some program over you that is messing with your weather. And we've done some pretty good deep dives here, just how long they've been geoengineering our asses and how it's gotten worse. They've ramped it up because they have to get us to freak out over climate change, right? That's what it's about. We had a Wells Fargo executive. He knows something bad's coming and he couldn't take it anymore. So Wells Fargo executive Greg Beckett jumps to his death from bank's Delaware office as family says he has been stressed out about work and taking meetings as late as 11 p.m. Now, we've seen banks failing all over the country. I had a banking issue I was trying to deal with the last couple of weeks. And let me tell you, there is very few banks left in this country. There's very few banks left in my small town. If you're still banking, get the fuck out of these big banks like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, whatever they call themselves now, right? Because they all get bought out by some other big conglomerate bank, Unicorp Bank, North Dakota Bank. They gobble each other up. And the few banks that are left out there, they're going to be controlled by central digital currencies. We've been telling you this for a long time. And even people that understand what's going on haven't pulled their money out of the bank. I have good friends, that are still putting their money in their 401k. And I'm telling them, your 401k is nothing but BlackRock and Vanguard. You're giving your money to them to screw you over. Get your money out of these big goddamn banks. Go to small credit unions if you have to bank. Use cash. I can't tell you guys enough. Use cash, use cash, use cash. If you don't use cash, they're going to stop taking cash, and they already are at many, many places. And who does that hurt? That hurts the most vulnerable among us. Do you think that my family member who's a drug addict living in a tent in the woods has a bank card? No. They have to buy everything they need to survive in cash, which means we need to support cash and continue to use cash. Fuck the big banks. That's what I got to say about that. We're kind of in the geoengineering section of my deck today. So let's look what's happening to our food. I went to Walmart yesterday, like I said, and now that I understand what I'm looking at produce-wise, the numbers, I keep bringing you guys these different clips that show you these produce numbers. Anything that starts with a 4 is bad. Anything that starts with an 8 is bad. Everything that starts with a 9 is supposed to be organic, but we're finding out it really isn't. But I refuse to buy anything but a 9 anymore. And I was shocked to find out there was literally one tiny section at my local Walmart store that actually has organic produce. It is triple the price of the other produce, and they just don't want you to even think about it. So check this out. Ugh, this just turns me. I'm glad I'm fasting. I'm fasting today. I'm doing a 3-day fast. So I'm not eating any poison for a couple of days.
Look what's happening to our food.
Hey, those potatoes.
Toyuqlar nə boyda olur? Buna bax. Bir toyuğa 400 qramı şapbulladır buradan tərəfə. O birisini elə, o birisini elə. Bəs, o birisini elə. Buduna da vur baxıb bud nətəri şişir. Əlini çək.
So there you are. That is your food being uniformly processed. So that way all the cucumbers are green and all the peas are green and all the sweet potatoes are pink. Haven't you ever noticed when you go to the store just how amazing it is that all of the fruits and vegetables are so uniformed and perfect? That's because they're bioengineered to be that way, and they're treated with so many chemicals. I've been complaining about our meat supply for years now. It's full of tumors, it's stuff full of sulfates and radiated, our meat, our produce, everything. You guys know it out there. And even though I talk about it and even though I've known about it forever, it's hard. It is so hard not to just say F it and eat that box of whatever. Okay, so take this flatbread, Townhouse flatbread, right? Probably owned by Nabisco, who's owned by BlackRock. Pretty much everything's owned by these big conglomerates, right? But when you read the list, damn near half of the shit in here is chemicals, or if it's real wheat flour, it's full of glyphosate, right? So it's just so hard every time you open your mouth and you put something in your mouth. Is it healthy? Because nothing in America is healthy anymore. We have 2 grocery stores where in the rural town that I live in. We have Safeway, which is outrageously priced, or you have Walmart. But it doesn't matter because the vendors are the same. The food is coming from the same places. And we have to just be so hard and be diligent about trying to get healthy foods. I know you can't do it all the time. I know I'm trying. But I hit the farmer's market this weekend and I got me some beautiful local grown grapes because Vic, I'm going to try me that grape pie one of these days. I'm gathering up grapes to do it. So just try hard. That's all I got to say is try to get out to the farmer's market, grow local, grow your own food, try to buy local, and just think about it. Think about the poisons that we're ingesting. When you're younger, it's easier to just ignore it because you're like, oh, I feel fine. I feel great, But as you get older, you realize that food is what is your energy. That's how you keep going. That is your future. And now where I can't afford to keep eating nasty chemicals and poisons. Yeah, Gates Farms. Well, that's not the only thing because now you're going to be so turned off by meat. Of course, they're going to make meat for you. You won't eat meat anymore, right? They got to get us off of beef. So check this out. They're just going to print your meat. Is it going to play? Come on. I noticed it loaded kind of slow. Come on. Maybe my internet's dragging. I've had some internet issues lately.
Your steak could soon be 3D printed. That's if you live in Europe. Israeli company Redefine Meat has struck a partnership with importer Geraldi Meats to drive European distribution of its new meat steak cuts. The startup is hoping to establish its products as an alternative to conventionally produced meat. Redefine Meat operates large-scale meat printers at its Rehovot headquarters south of Tel Aviv, as well as in a new factory in the Netherlands. Manager of the company's 3D printers project, Yaron Eshel, explains how it works.
Meatloaf.
When I want to create my steak, I have a library of a few different slabs. I can choose each one of them and I can adjust it accordingly. I can define the amount of marbling, the internal fat or the external fat. And now I can start and go and print it and produce it. So I'm putting it, this is my queue, this is my timeline for today. I know that in an hour or something from now, I will need to refill the machine with new material. But now I can go directly into the printing process, and you can see how the process starts to build layer by layer.
No, that is so gross. I'm not going to play the whole thing. You guys are saying it's being kind of blurry, so I'm sure it's the internet. But this is the Jetsons, right? That's what we all wanted growing up, to be able to just push a button like on Star Trek, the food replicator. Do you remember that? Oh, we need that. Well, did we ever think that it's not actually going to be real food? It's just going to be chemicals and poisons that come out of that machine. I don't know what to tell you guys. Just read everything you buy. That's all I can tell you. Read everything you buy. Is it real? What the hell? But they can dupe us for everything. I mean, I honestly think that our meat supply is already probably half not real. They've been using pink slime since the 70s to dupe us into thinking we're getting ground beef. And you can smell it. I don't care who you are. Rip that steak open and smell it. It smells like sulfur and nitrates. That's all you can smell. But that's not the only way they're going to kill us. Amber and I and Franklin did a 5G informational meeting on Saturday. That's why there was no Beauty and the Boomer. I missed you guys, though. I got to tell you, I did. And I think we learned a lot. It was really good to get out there and talk to the community and talk to other people who are fully aware of our health and how the new technology is affecting our health. We talked a lot about like Havana syndromes and, the coming authoritarian control they're going to have because of these systems and how it's going to affect our health. And I came across this great video a couple of weeks ago. I think I probably brought this a long time ago, but I wanted to show you guys again. This is a tree with a 5G tower next to it, and it speaks for itself.
Here we go. Here we go. All the bark's falling off. All on the left-hand side. Look on the left-hand side of that tree. Look on the right-hand side. That's all right. Yeah. Right, well, look at the right-hand side of the tree. Look at the flower. Look at the bushes. Look at the green bushes. Yeah. Very nice. Look at the left-hand side. Dead. Do you know why? Because that's right next to it. Have you seen anything like that in your life? It's got a light right there. The transmitter on the top. These 5G transmitters are lethal. If that's what it's doing to a tree, right next to a tree, think about what these are doing to our health.
What is it doing to our health? I mean, it speaks for itself. If one side of the tree is dead and the other side's not, what's on that side? The biggest thing I took away from the meeting that we did this weekend was, how do you talk to people and not sound like a stark, raving, mad conspiracy theorist? How do we? But you've got to understand. And when you do understand how all of our agencies are corporate captured, and these big tech, because this is big tech, right? They have the money, just like big pharma. They write their own studies. They pay for their own lies, and then our government totes it back to us as it's been studied, and that's not the reality of it at all. And we need to be a hell of a lot more skeptical of being told that something's safe, because we all love our phones, and that's the biggest thing. Like, people don't want this little thing taken from them, so they're willing to embrace it. They don't want to hear that their router could be killing them in their house, that's giving them 5G and Bluetooth to everything, right? So we need more studies. We need comprehensive studies, and I commend all of those out there fighting that fight, because it's a hard fight, guys. I get so many emails and messages. You're crazy. That technology's fine. We've studied it. No, we don't study shit. Just like we studied the vaccine. Come on. We're always lied to about the science. I would like to see actual real science. And there's a lot of actual real science out there from doctors who have been studying this for so long. And when you look at that science, it is fucking horrific. What it does to your blood, how it's coagulatingly, how your body is responding to being smacked with these waves constantly. So I don't pretend to understand or know much about this. I don't. And that's why I wasn't on the panel. I just moderated and let those who do understand say it, or get out there and say what they need to say. And we will have a very comprehensive video that's going to come out on this very soon. So I know that we have some great people working on it. And this is just a prime example of it. So Nobel Peace Prize awarded to COVID vaccine pioneers. Yeah. Oh, those pioneers. They were recognized for their work that led to the development of vaccines that were administered to billions around the world. So, yep, Nobel Prize goes to scientists behind mRNA COVID vaccines. Yeah, we've had some questions about the Nobel Prize for some years now, right? I don't know, 15 years we've been questioning it. It seems like everybody who seems to get one seems to be evil at the end of the day, right? Do no evil. We're almost out of here. We're going to hit Meme Alley. Of course, we got to talk about the hottest memes of the day. We never get out of the trailer park without going down Meme Alley. And I think we're starting now. So Ryan Knight says the average U.S. family health insurance premium in 2000 cost $6,000. In 2012, it was $16,000. And in 2022, it was $22,000. That is a 266% increase since 2000. For-profit health insurance is a scam. Now it says hashtag nationalize healthcare now. And you guys know, for a long time, I spent 2 years on the ground with the Medicare for All fight until COVID hit. And I stepped back and said, whoa, what are we asking for? Do we even know what we're asking for? We're asking an authoritarian government to give us something. And if we ask for universal health care and we get it, does that mean we're signing over our bodily autonomy, our right to choose what goes into our body? So, yeah, I don't push that nationalized health care any longer. Not that I don't think Americans deserve health care. We absolutely do. We don't deserve to go broke because we get sick. It's insane. When you vote for a Democrat and refuse to look at what's happening, so many did this for so long, but not any longer, right? I ain't voting for either party. I can promise you that. And I'll take a community strike for that one, so I won't. Let's see. Mark Zuckerberg says polarizing Elon Musk will keep X from reaching its full potential. What is its full potential? To be the next WeChat, fully authoritarian site? And say hello to my only friend. It is his only friend, right? Yeah, Elon, DARPA boy, he's out there doing exactly what these guys do. Don't think for 1 minute that Mark Zuckerberg has such a big brain that he just created Facebook and put it out there. He was tapped to be the front man of Facebook, just like Elon Musk was tapped to be the front man of so many of the ventures that he's into, Tesla, Starlink. Yeah, they're all just covers for DARPA. This is all this is, what was I was watching? David Icke dropped like a 3-hour podcast with somebody the other day. You guys know I love David Icke. And he made it so clear that how would you roll out an authoritarian measure like this? You would roll it out by letting people think that it's free speech, that sorry, it's just the internet. We can't control the speech on it. But then after you get everybody addicted to it, then you make it authoritarian. Then you control. Then you censor. And that's exactly what they do via these two shitheads right here. Do I think that they're ready to throw a smackdown in some cage match? No. That's for press, guys. That's to get people hyped up. Oh, I forgot we had Hollywood Go Fuck Yourself section today. Okay, I guess we're doing Hollywood Go Fuck Yourself. What do I got in here? Oh, yeah. We got to talk about this. Breaking. Dwayne Keefe D has been arrested in suspicion of the murder of Tupac Shakur. Allegedly, Sean Combs put a hit on Tupac. Sources in the LA or the Las Vegas Police Department tell us, as of the AP. Okay, so we saw a arrest come down in the Tupac murder on Friday. And when you do a little research into it, they're saying that one of these guys, this Dwayne Keefe D, did a documentary, was interviewed for a documentary in 2018. And the way he phrased and worded what they asked him, he said the shot came from the back seat. Well, there was 4 people in the car. The police know who the 4 people were. And yeah, sometimes opening your mouth will get you. And that's what seems to happen here. Took a while, but they got him. I don't know if I buy that's the real story. I think that this is some more bread and circus. So when Rome was falling, they constantly had circus to distract people. Remember that when you see anything going on. And I think that that's what this story is. I think Vegas wants to see, we care about our cold cases, give us props. And who knows? There's so much speculation and conspiracy with that murder. You know, we've talked about it over the years. The FBI, the CIA, these militant, I don't even know what the group is called, but, you know, they blame it on them. So we'll see how this trial plays out. But is it bread and circuses? Absolutely. I think it's bread and circuses. So did you guys see this? Michelle Obama enjoying a snorkeling session with her shirtless friend Tom Hanks and his wife Rita Wilson in Italy before climbing aboard Steven Spielberg's $250 million super jet. The former First Lady is still on vacation away from President Obama. He recently ignored a reporter yesterday when asked if his wife is running for president. Yes, there's a lot of talk about Michelle Obama being either tapped for president or maybe vice president. And Newsom could use her as his VP, right? There's a lot of talk about it. And let's see, breaking, President Obama stayed silent when he was asked if his wife, Michelle, is running for president while exiting Funk restaurant in Beverly Hills. Oh, I'm sure that's some trendy ass place. Meanwhile, Michelle Obama, 59, is vacationing aboard Steven Spielberg's yacht in the Italian Riviera with Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson. Michelle and Barack have not been seen together since Larry Sinclair's presidential gay sex accusations, and not to mention that their chef drowned mysteriously at their compound. So no, Michelle and Barack have not been seen together since all of that went down. Since, what was his name? Tifon Campbell, was that his name? That we're getting a lot of crazy questions about that too. Like, why did the local 911 cover up the call? They took the call down. I mean, there's just so many questions. Why was he naked? Who was the other person out there? There was a witness. And not to mention, we saw Obama with a bunch of broken up fingers and his face all fucked up right the next day after this. Yeah. Did Big Mike kick his ass? I don't know. But, when you go back and you read Hillary Clinton's book, My Way, from when they were in the White House with the Monica Lewinsky scandal, she cold-shouldered Bill for 18 months. 18 months, she just stayed out of, if he was somewhere, she wasn't there. Just like this, vacationing with friends. Yeah, they didn't let the press ever see them together. So is Michelle bent about something? It kind of seems like she is, but don't worry. She's got her gated community cliquey friends there to help her out and tell her she's great, like they always do. Tom and Rita and Oprah and Meghan Markle and Harry. You know, this is the clique we're talking about. I think there's one more in here. Gen Z can't work alongside people with different views because they haven't got the skills to disagree, says British TV boss. Channel 4 Isn't that the one that's smearing Russell Brand? I think it is. I think they're called Channel 4 on the BBC. So explains how social media and the pandemic for Gen Z's deficiency in essential workplace democracy. Yeah, that is. I'm so old. I remember when Saturday Night Live was still funny. I am. And that's why you got to come watch Beauty and the Boomer, because we have a good time every Saturday night. Here we go. Oh, did you guys see this? So Jamie Lee Curtis deletes the Instagram post showing the photo of a naked child stuffed in a box. You guys remember this? The internet went crazy. She finally took that picture down, and yeah, she stayed pretty quiet about it. We got some questions, Miss Jamie Lee Curtis. Why would you think that is art? And Oprah reveals how she manages to stay stress-free at 67. Step 1, have $1 billion. Yeah, that's how you do it. Have $1 billion, and then you'll be totally stress-free. Okay, we finally made it. Meme Alley. I knew we'd run a little late today. I had quite a big show going, so we'll get out of here as soon as we get through Meme Alley. Okay, let's get started. Congratulations. You made it to October 2023. Make some noise, all of us. Ah! Yeah, that's exactly it. CNN, Fox, BBC, NPR, Reuters, MSNBC, and the New York Times. I would say the Washington Post, too. Top 10 missed headlines. Yeah, they're all misleading. We know that. Don't watch media, mainstream media. Okay, so this is a comparison. The Democrats actually posted this. So it says Trump was one of the worst anti-union presidents in American history. He rolled back worker protections. He attacked workers' ability to organize. He eroded workers' bargaining rights. He blocked overtime for millions of workers. He denied workers a minimum wage increase. He excluded millions of workers from paid leave. He dismantled fiduciary protections for retirement savers. He killed OSHA's safety standards, gutting the environmental abilities, and he tried to kill workers' health care. Oh, unlike Biden. Yeah, come on. You're full of shit. I don't work for you. Joe Biden, March of 2020. I remember when he said that in a union meeting. What have we seen this scab do? He has crushed these guys. We've got strikers all over the country starting to step up, and the Democrats are doing everything they can to screw them. And, the auto workers, CEOs, look at the money that they're bringing in. This is what, Ford, GM, and Chrysler are bringing in. $19 billion in 2013. Now it's up to $33 billion in 2023. But they can't afford to pay workers a living wage, help them with retirement, or give them health care, right? They're asking for very fucking simple things. They're not asking for the moon. And I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican, you're owned by the same owner and you're going to crush the unions. One nation under fraud, clearly visible with bribery and corruption for all. And that is absolutely true. Employees, I'm burnt out. Management, say no more. We'll order you a pizza, because that's what it comes down to, right? I worked for a big oil company for many years, as some of you know. And we started out where we would get like a nice Christmas bonus. I don't know, $100, $200 just for, minimum wage workers. That's a nice little Christmas bonus. And by the time they went out of business, because they collapsed in the 2008, 119-year-old petroleum company in 2008 ended up going under because of 2008, Obama bailing out the banks. And so therefore I lost my job. I lost my 401k. Well, they took most of my 401k, but by the time I left there, they were giving us a $15 fucking gift card to Safeway for Christmas. $15 gift card to Safeway. The force that keeps you going. Without your workers, you don't have shit, and you keep shitting on workers and you keep treating them bad. And then you wonder why you don't have any reliable employees, because there is no loyalty to workers anymore. There is no adequate compensation to workers anymore. It's beyond gross for sure. Let's see. Fee, if you haven't checked out Fee, she's in Iran having a great time. Congratulations, Fee. You earn all of the accolades you get. And let's see. Being ruled by workers, being ruled by warlords, being ruled by warlords, being ruled by warlords in suits that let you pretend you elect them. Yes. Let's keep pretending that we elect people. Let's keep pretending that our votes actually have an impact on who is ruling us, because we all know it goes from the top up, top down. Couple more memes here. This one's kind of funny. Reminds me of being a kid. The CIA blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. Yeah, we know that. War crimes. And I don't want to hear another fucking word about climate change. Tell you guys start addressing the military industrial complex and the amount of pollutants they are putting out into the environment, instead of the poor guy trying to drive his little Pinto to the goddamn Jack in the Box to go to work. Because that's not going to save us. They're going to make it to where smart cars are the only cars that are going to be on the road. We've told you this. They've told us this. 2030, own nothing, be happy, right? So that's just a part of it. Oh, this one cracked me up. Check this out. Remember what you're fighting for. Yeah, it's Hunter Biden. This is pretty funny. You guys crack me up. Queen Oz thinks it's funny. Come on, wake up and realize we're being ruled by genocidal freaks. For sure. And how you look standing with Ukraine. Yeah, you kind of look like Steve. You have no clues. And someone said they love Ben Shapiro and Children of the Corn, and now I can't unsee it. Oh my gosh, I can't unsee it now either. You guys see that? Was he the kid that played in that movie? He looks just like him. That is crazy. I actually was such an unruly teenager that my nickname was Malachi. They called me Mal all through my high school years. It came from Children of the Corn. I hated it back then, but now I find it's funny. Let's see. Fascism, conspiracy theories, and liberals. And that is damn right. It's us conspiracy theorists that are in the middle. We're out there fighting against fascism and fighting against the liberals. So they're bringing it. Oh, we got one more. I miss clubbing in the 1990s. I get it. Do you guys get it? If you never made a mixtape with one of these, don't argue with me about music. Yeah, I love those Memorex mixtapes, right? 90 minutes. You can pass them out to your friends. Look at the cool mixtape I made you. Oh, boy, we got a lot of memes in Meme Alley. When ads start popping up for stuff I only thought about inside my head. That happens to me constantly. Does it happen to you constantly? And sometimes I'll sit there and I'll be like, did I think about that or did I say it out loud? And I'll be like, I never said that out loud. How the hell did they know to put that in my feed? Creepy times. And I know Amber's hanging out over in the Rokfins like, that's because they're reading your mind. I know. I want a Pinto station wagon. Oh my God. My best friends that lived 2 doors down when I was a kid, they had a Pinto station wagon. I can still feel the way the seats were weird in the back. They had like a little hole that your butt fit into, and then you had a cushion around it. The Pintos. Yeah. Don't get rear-ended by a Pinto, right? And this is your gardening meme. Start the change in your neighborhood. Stop spraying poisons in your yard. Shrink your lawn and plant natives. And I am doing this. I got out this weekend, did a little bit of work shutting the garden down. I still got a lot of peppers that are producing. My onions turned out amazing. I'm super excited. It was my first year doing purple onions, and they were beautiful. Of course, I did butternut squash and acorn squash, and I had a really good turnout this year. And I just, I used to have a big, huge yard that we'd have to go out and mow. I'm trying to make it smaller and smaller now. I'm taking more of the yard for growing produce that I can actually eat. And hey, that's less shit I got to mow at the end of the day. And here's your Assange for the day. You guys know I always finish the show out with Julian Assange. This is Julian Assange's address. Please screenshot it. It's so easy to send him a postcard and thank him for enduring what he's had to endure, for telling us the truth about our country. Remember, he is in a 7-foot by 12-foot cell, and the people that go in and visit say he is just so very, very sad. He needs to be home with his family. And until he's free, there is no free press. And this is Stella just this weekend. I don't remember if she was testifying or if she was accepting a award on his behalf.
Violations of his rights, the bugging of his legal meetings with his lawyers where he was obtaining legal advice, the spying on our baby, etc. Those are crimes. Julian hasn't committed a crime. They committed the crimes against him, and also all the crimes that he exposed that they committed. This is a show of force, of bullying, of authoritarianism.
Yep.
Thank you.
Keep fighting to free Assange. I saw the yellow ribbons. They're getting so thick. There's so many of them. Please go over, sign up Yellow Ribbons. I think it's called Yellow Ribbons for Assange. Get your ribbon out there with your name on it. Show the world that there is a ton of us. We are standing in solidarity with Assange for freedom of the press, because there is no freedom of the press while the man who told us the truth is being locked away. And okay, guys, I think we made it through the show. If you're new here, there's been a lot of new faces. I'm excited to see you. Thanks for coming in to see Pasta. Thanks for hanging out. I am Chanda-Masta. I am the Trailer Park Pundit. I do this every Monday morning, every Wednesday morning, and you can join me Saturday night for Beauty and the Boomer. And if you like our format, it's a little bit different than the others. We tend to scratch the surface on stuff and figure if you're interested in a story we're talking about, you can go out there and do your own research, because, hey, they don't hide the truth. They just don't think you'll look for it. If you want to help me out, all of the donation links are in the chat below. Independent media is the only media that is telling the truth. And you know what? I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think I could be here. 8 years ago, I couldn't stand before a crowd and talk, let alone get on here, engineer a show, and, be able to tell you guys what I think. And so if you have just a little tiny bit of drive to get out there and be independent media, get your damn phone, get out there and talk to the people, because it's on us. We are the media. And support independent media, even if you can't get out there, right? So many are fearlessly. Pasta's so fearless that it inspires me to be fearless. When I see Fee being fearless, how more fair? Yeah, I'm not really using PayPal anymore. I have Gives and Goes. I have the rest down there, but PayPal is, for me right now, hasn't shut me down. GoFundMe shut me down, so I dumped GoFundMe. It's just the world we live in, trying to work around it, right? So yeah, there is a Spot Fund Me in the chat below that I've been using. I haven't really been using the PayPal. It's kind of old. Okay, let me shout out the chats real fast. Cadillac Centaurs hanging out over on the Rokfin, along with Jim and Amber King. Chime, good to see you. Shim. Fred Edwards, thank you for always sharing out my links and my tweets, making sure other people know where to find me. Kate, I know Kate's hanging out over here. Kate's always over there. Yep, there's Kate. Kushami Kate, I hope you had an excellent birthday yesterday. Happy birthday. I hope it was good. And thank you to everybody who's joined me. Zoxovoxovix over on the Rokfin and the Rumbles. Go Start. And everybody else watching on Rumble, thank you guys so much for stopping by. Of course, over on Kick. Pancho Ron? I'm so terrible at names. Thank you so much for watching us on Kick. And of course, we are on X too. So thank you very much. V, thank you so much for the donation, the super chat. Of course, we can take super chats, super raise. Those are the best ways to get to us, because we don't monetize any of our content at all. For one, we bring a lot of copyrighted stuff. And if we did, it would just go to whoever the original person is. So We're not here trying to get rich on YouTube. So thank you very much. And let me shout out the YouTube real fast. Corky's here. Dirty Dollars. Kate, you're everywhere. Cowboy Kitty, good to see you. Aram. Thank you, Aram, for all your work on our movie night. We got movie night, mystery movie nights on Thursday, every other Thursday. You have to guess what the movie is. And we're working out the kinks over there. It's been beta testing is what we've been doing. But I think having us on screen this week was a little better. Don't you guys think? I do. If we would have had some audio, we have a few audio problems. Popeye the Sailor is here. Skywalker, I am good to see you. Who else over here? Salty's Digital Dive. Of course, V's here. Not your raw mama. Good to see you. Not your raw mama. Barb 420. So glad. Let's see. 4737. Carlin's here. Paula Silva. Thank you so much for joining us. And everybody, you guys have been super busy on the YouTube. So everybody who joined us today, thank you so much. So I've got a great closer for us this morning. You guys know I close my show with music. Ozzy, good to see you. Morning to you. I thought that Journey's Lights, when the lights go down in the city, would be a good closer for having Pasta on. Thank you to my amazing guest today, Craig Pasta Jardula. Go follow him on X at Yo Pasta. And of course, you can find his channels on YouTube and the Combo Couch. If you're not following the Combo Couch, you need to be following the Combo Couch. And tune in to Jimmy Dore this afternoon because Pasta will be hosting one more day, it looks like. And I love Monday afternoons because I get to hear Pasta and Kurt and Misha. So you guys have a great day. I will see you at the same bat time, same bat channel on Wednesday morning. Much love.
When the lights go down in the city and the sun shines on the bay, oh, I wanna be there in my city. Oh, 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 oh. So you think you're lonely? Well, my friend, I'm lonely too. I wanna get back to my city by the bay. Oh, oh, oh. It's sad, oh, every morning's out on the road without your charms. When the lights go down in the city and the sun shines on the bay, oh, I wanna be there in my city. Oh, 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 oh. When the lights